All right, welcome to my video on our introduction to functions. So functions are basically just a special type of equation that have some really unique properties. And we're not going to get into those properties today, but I want to show you how we work with functions in general. So first, what do functions look like? So a function is going to have three main components. You're going to have this thing that we call f of x. You're going to have your coefficient, and you're going to have an x. So f of x is called the output. We also call it the range, but you can think of it as y. Most of the time in equations so far, we would have had something like y equals 15x. So f of x just replaces the idea of y. It's really the same thing, but when we talk about functions, we just call it f of x instead of y. And x is going to be your input, also called the domain, which we're going to get into in a couple of seconds. But the three main takeaways here is you've got f of x, a coefficient, and an x. So how to find the value of the output? Basically, when we talk about functions, we talk more about input and output more than we do y and x, but it really does work the exact same way. So for example, you might have a problem that says find f of 5 if f of x equals 4x. So all you have to do is look at the number that's in the parentheses up here that says f is 5. And you're going to substitute that anywhere in this equation over here where it says x. So, for example, we've now got f of 5 equals 4 times 5. And remember, anytime we do substitution, we put parentheses around it to show that it is being substituted. And finally, we just have to do the math on the right side. So we have 4 times 5. So we're going to do 4 times 5, which is 20. Now, f of 5 is actually just another way of saying when y is 5, so we actually don't have to do any math on the left side. So believe it or not, f of 5 equals 20 is the final answer to any of these problems. So once again, all you have to do here, take the number in the parentheses, substitute anywhere it says x, and then simplify on the other side. And that's really all you have to do for each of these problems. We also have function tables, and they work very similar to typical tables, but here we can choose any value for our x and compute it through this function to find out what our f of x equals. So when you're given a table, you can choose what value of x you want. I like to start with 0 because 0 is a good number to work with. So here we would do 4 times 0 plus 3. And you know that 4 times 0 is 0, and 0 plus 3 is 3, so f of x equals 3. Again, we can take another x value. Let's choose 1 this time. We have 4 times 1 plus 3, and 4 times 1 is 4, plus 3 gives us 7. I'm just going to choose my last x of 2 because why not? And here we have 4 times 2 plus 3. Well, 4 times 2 gives us 8, and 8 plus 3 gives us 11. So finally, you're going to be asked to identify the domain and the range. And simply put, your domain is just going to be taking all of your x values that you found and putting them into some parentheses. You put them in order from least to greatest. So we're going to have 0, 1, and 2. And finally, you have your range. And your range is your f of x, or you can think of it as your y, once again, written from least to greatest. So 3, 7, 11. So big takeaways from this slide. Take a random x, plug it into the equation that you have, find what your f of x is, and then when you're done, write your domain, which is your x, in order from least to greatest, and then write your range, which is your f of x, in order from least to greatest. And finally, we do have word problems that go with this. They aren't as complicated as they might seem. So here we have Sunrise Library charges 25 cents per day for overdue books, plus a $1 surcharge. So how much would it cost to pay for a book that's 14 days overdue? Well, we can create a function, and most functions are going to start with f of x, but you might see something like c of x or g of x. Just like how we have similar things to we can replace any variable with any letter, you can change it from f of x to anything else. I'm just going to take f of x for now. And to decompose this word problem, I'm going to ask myself, I want to find my coefficient, which means that there's got to be one of these words that happens every day or for each something, or usually it'll have some sort of wording where it involves per something. So 25 cents per day means that it's going to be 0.25x and plus a $1 surcharge, so plus 1. Once again, just to decompose this, all you have to do when making this is start off with your f of x, look for somewhere in the wording where it suggests that one of those numbers occurs every day or per cost, per something, and usually you'll have some sort of idea of which one has the x that comes with it, and plus 1. So how much would it cost for a book that's 14 days overdue? So we can now substitute f of 14 into this equation, and that gives us 0.25 times 14 plus 1. And here, we can decompose that even further. That's like f of 14 equals, and then 0.25 times 14 gives us 3.5 plus 1, or f of 14 equals 4.5, which means it's going to cost us $4.50 to pay for a book that is 14 days overdue.